Yesterday we did discuss about all the different string methods which are available. Yeah. So more than this list what I displayed, I also showed you there are so many other methods which exist. I gave you one very important tip to say that how to learn, how to get knowledge of new methods. And it does not make sense you sit and practice all the method in one go. That will not work out. It might work out for today, but not work out in the future. So you have to incrementally add up the knowledge. That's where I said refer this website. Keep frequently visiting for all the problems that you come across, and that is actually going to increase. Yeah. So basically, your knowledge on the string methods will increase. Read about these methods. Understand the syntax. I've been telling it is very important to understand the full syntax, not just parameter and how to call that method. No, the different parameters. What is its return value? What type of parameter? Return value in some in cases like positive case, best case scenarios, worst case scenarios. What is the return value? You should be aware. Apart from these string methods, and with this, we also moved on to a new type, which is actually arrays. We kind of understood what are arrays in JavaScript. Array, we discussed about different types of creating array, array length property, the way we create array and then the different value they hold. Yeah. On top of that, we also saw how to check a given variable is an array or not. There are other methods, but I told you using is array syntax. Yeah, there are two more methods actually to check an array. After that, we discussed the basic methods which are there. I said arrays are very commonly used in JavaScript, especially array of objects. So today's topic will be mainly that, and we will be with array of objects. We'll also try to learn the new set of methods. I mean, not the new set, I mean the iterator set of methods. Yesterday, just to add on, yeah, we saw some of these methods like join, index of, toString, sort method, if you remember. So we discussed about writing a comparator function and array.sort as a limitation that it cannot sort numbers. So you'll have to write an additional function which will help the sort function to sort based on the chronological order of the numbers. Yeah, I think it's called chronological order. Yeah. So the numeric order. Otherwise, it sorts like a different order itself, like kind of a dictionary order. Yes. After learning this, we learned very important iterator methods. I think I told you about forEach and filter, if you remember. On top of that, I also told you what is every and sum, if you remember, correct? We covered every and sum. We also covered forEach and find. Yeah. So we are left with important methods, find, map, and reduce. So now I'm going to cover these methods. I'm going to tell you what these methods actually, and these are some of the very, very frequently used methods. And then we'll discuss about few more methods like include, contains, and I think yeah, we discussed even array of method. This basically, let's say if I'm passing list of items to this array, then through this it will create an array. Is array to check given no variable is an array or not. Yeah, to check this. What else? Then yeah, includes will check whether a given element is there or not. Contains is also somewhat same. I think let's check what is the difference between includes and contains. Yeah, mostly it will be in terms of the return value. Alright, so let's understand this iterator methods. And before we dive into this new set of iterator methods, we have to discuss. So let's recall the syntax that we have learned with respect to what? The for each method. You have learned for each method. I told you a syntax. If you remember, I gave you even an example of, yeah, I gave you an example of how this iterator method works. The general syntax I've explained through what is called as callback function. You take for each, you take map, you take find, filter, yeah, so reduce. All this method will accept callback function. And we discussed the syntax of that callback function, which means, so what does this callback function is going to get for each iteration? First of all, why do we call all these methods iterator methods? Because they execute this callback function, or kind of they process each and every element one by one, and for every element, we are this method is going to invoke the callback function once with these three information. So now as a JavaScript programmer, what we have to do, we have to understand what is the return value of each of this method. For sure, input is almost same, meaning it is going to take a callback function. That's all. It is kind of a hook you can think of. So this function is doing something. You have your custom logic, then put it in that. For example, I'm saying for each is simply looping through each and every element. That's all it is doing. Now, while looping, you want to do something. You want to perform your own task. You do that. How? That is through this function. And while looping, you get the context. Okay, what it is looping, what is the current index of the element, right? And it has some default, yeah, behavior of the function, how it works. So you hook, you write your logic, you write your 100 lines logic, 20 line logic, single one line logic, that is going to work. But then you are just hooking your logic, you are building your logic around this. Yeah, so this body you have to fill now based on your requirement. You have to fill. For example, I gave you a question asking you do a sum of all the elements in the array. Yeah, I gave you a simple question. Maybe you could have written normal for loop. But then how do you do the same thing with the help of this for each? Yeah, we could have written simple for and then we could have just used a sum and count. It's somewhat same. Yeah. So here for this case, it doesn't make much of a difference. Okay, whether you use for each and for. But still, as a best practice, it is recommended to use for each when you're working with arrays, not this for loop. Yeah. Again, why? One obvious reason I can think of is, see, you don't have to do all this. You don't have to maintain a variable. You don't have to check a condition. Increment, none of this is required. Yeah, fine. So this is a reason why we kind of recommend using iterator methods always, if we have one, than using your plain for loop. Now for adding or making a sum or count, so you can initialize one variable called sum is equal to 0. In that callback function, you are going to get for sure each and every element which that for each is processing. So all you have to do is write a simple expression, sum is equal to, yeah, sum plus is equal to, if you know that shorthand, element over. Now how this logic is executed? Because this for each is executing, you know that it is going to loop. Your simple line will give you whatever you want. And the return value of for each, yesterday if you remember, it is not going to return anything, which means if a function is not returning anything in JavaScript, the default return value is undefined. Alright, this is how the for each works. This is what we have already discussed. I'm just again trying to highlight what is it so. Now what does filter? Yeah. So filter also same. It takes a callback function. Some people will write CB also. Now what is the syntax of CB? Same. It is going to take, it is going to get an element if in the first element, I mean first position. It is going to get an index at the second position. Also it can get a complete array at the third position. That's all. Then this function what we are writing, this is also called, this should work like a predicate function. What it should work? It should work like a predicate function. Why? Not like a normal callback function what we wrote. So predicate means at the end it should return a boolean value. True or false is required. It should say yes or no. You do whatever logic you want. You want to multiply, you want to divide, you want to add, you want to subtract. Do that. It doesn't mind. At the end, it is expecting for each element, give me your conclusive answer as true or false. So accordingly, you should write the logic. Now, based on this predicate's return value, if that is true, then it is going to copy, that particular element or whatever elements are returning true into a totally new array. Yeah, it is going to add up into totally new array. It doesn't modify your original array. You will invoke this method with an array only. So this is not at all going to modify this original array. Yeah, it is the case with more almost like all the array methods, the iterator method specifically. Yeah, these will not modify this array. That is one more point to remember. And then this is going to return you a completely a brand new array wherein you will find all the element which satisfies this condition. That's how the filter works. Now what do I write in this? It's up to you. But you make sure at the end for each iteration your function is returning a true and false. So based on like what the logic I'm implementing, I can decide okay how to write that condition. So filter is going to return a new array. This is very important to remember. We'll it is very easy to learn lot of methods. At times people have lot of confusion whether you use forEach or filter or find or map. People have this confusion. Okay, that is why it is very important to remember the return value and later you see which is a very closest to what requirement. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so we understood now what is filter. What about find method? Syntax wise, no difference at all. Again, this also takes a callback function. So what is the purpose of this? This find is used to search an element. You might be just having, you know, yeah, basically to search an element. Let me tell you how it helps. Again, this function, it's kind of takes a predicate kind of callback. Yeah, a predicate kind of callback, meaning your function should return true or false. Almost same as filter, correct? But what's the difference? The difference comes in return value and okay, this is going to return the element which it has found or to which the predicate has returned true or it will return -1. No, it is not going to return -1. It is going to return undefined if it cannot find one. Okay, I'll confirm you. Okay, so it is going to return the whole element. So let me give you an example. Okay, I have 2, 3, 5, 7, 8. Let's say I'm looking for finding whether this array has an element 5 or not. Correct? It is going to check in the first iteration whether 5 is equal to 2. Next iteration, it is going to check whether 5 is equal to 3. In the third iteration, it is going to check 5 is equal to 5. What happens now? That time we get a true value. Correct? So as soon as the condition is true, for loop will close. It will not process this 7 and 8. Over. Meaning it will only process this 2, 3, 5. And this will return this value 5. So your return value will be that 5. Let's say in a worst case, it doesn't find anything. It processes all the elements. Then it doesn't find one. Then it will return undefined. Let me just quickly check, find what is the return value. Yeah, I have a little bit of doubt. There is a find index, there is a find index, but I am saying about find method. So syntax, return value. Yeah, okay. So I'm just confirming you. If it cannot find one, then it is undefined. Whereas in case of index of, the return value is -1. So I was just having a confusion with that. So it is element plus undefined. But here, when it compares to all the iterator methods, one of the important difference is it is going to stop, you know, as soon as it finds the element, as soon as the condition becomes true. You write whatever logic you want. You want to check equals to, you want to check, it's up to you. You write whatever expression you want. As soon as this predicate returns true, for which element this predicate has given true, it is going to give you that element as a return value. Which one? The find is going to return that value. That's all. You don't have to return that element from the callback. For each filter, they will process every element in the array. Find, it will only till it finds. You might use for loop also, correct? But then there you will use a break and all that. So here with find, you don't have to write that. Automatically it is done. Yeah. So this is how the find works actually. Now you might ask a question. See, I am having already 5 in my hand. What is the point in finding another 5 which is there or not? Correct? I have to find 5, but having already 5, what is the so much? What is the thing in finding again 5? And it is this function is going to give you 5 only. It doesn't say anything else, right? It doesn't give index also. But then for this kind of simple input, you don't find much of a value add. But then where it becomes a difference is when we actually work with array of objects. I might be just having only the ID. I may not have the full object. But with the help of that ID, I can now get the full object. But the full object is there in the array. So there I'm going to get name so and so, description so and so. Yeah. So I'm going to get a full object. So this is actually find. This is where it makes sense to have a find. I only have a key, but I'm able to get the full object. But the full object is part of the array. Okay, we will see these kind of use cases. All right. So any questions so far with respect to for each, filter, and find? All FFF. There are so many methods. They almost work like similar. If you get 3 to 4 of these methods, you will be able to tackle, or you will be able to you'll be comfortable in using all this. You see, find is there, find index is also there. Here, the only difference is it is going to return an index than actual element. that is in first position, second position, that index it is going to return. That's the only difference. If it cannot find one, I think it is going to return -1. Find last, it will start finding, you know, not in the, this order, rather it will start searching from the end. So the search will start from the end, from the last index to the first index. That's what is find last. Find last index, just exactly opposite of find index. There is a method called flat. Flat, we can quickly see an example. Let's say I have a nested array. I have a nested array. I would like to make it into a single array. I have so many array of array, correct? So this array, I want to just do a flat into a single array. So where do you use this flat? Tire, right? Bike tire has flattened, which means there is no air, correct? So I can call this method like this. Okay, it is going to merge one level elements into a single array, meaning first level array. What if this element is also an array? What if this is also, is a nested array? Check now what I'm going to get. Okay, there's one more. See, this is not an array, meaning it did not flatten the full array. So, but again, flat has a syntax. You say depth as infinity. Yeah, it is accepting depth. I think if I have to say infinity, no, there's a special value. Yeah, exactly, infinity only. I'm just, I think, typing a misspelling, I believe. Wait a second. I think we can check exactly here. What is the depth? Yeah, they would have given the depth here itself. So depth defaults to 1. Yeah. So if you want, all the elements, yeah, this is what I was telling the syntax. So for this case, now if you pass infinity, how many other levels of nesting is there? You are going to get a single array. So likewise, you see there are a lot of methods which exist within the array, and different methods are created for different things. All right, let's come back. I'll ask you one more time. Do you have any doubts in these methods, the for each, the filter, find? Because next I'm covering another two important methods, which is map and reduce. They will confuse you. That's why I'm asking you if you are clear with these methods which I have discussed so far now.
Sir, give me example for this
Example
for each filter and find in
okay.
collection.
Hope I gave examples already. For find I gave example. Filter also I gave example. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
confused.
You got confused?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me
You
quickly
give me
write.
in console.
You want me to give in console the example for each of this, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's quickly do that. So for each, I'll take an array directly. Okay. Literally, I'll write an array itself. I can directly write these methods on all these elements. Huh? Okay. I don't have to create a variable and then do it. I'll do for each. Anything happens if I just use for each? It's a function. No. I have to write callback function. I have to write callback function. If I put callback function, anything is going to happen? Nothing is going to happen. Do you get anything written? No. First thing is always for each is going to return undefined. Now, so you think this is like a uh, think this is, imagine this is a bus actually. Yeah, imagine this is a bus which is going to Bangalore. Now, if the bus is going to Bangalore, can you tell me how you can take advantage of that? I'm saying in layman term, huh? So bus is already there, route is already there. It is going, coming, and it has some time. Now what you can do? Yeah, you can make use of that opportunity, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, you can go, you can travel outside, you can come to Bangalore. So there are so many uses, correct? Now that's what is hook. Hook means it's already there. Something is happening. You just put your logic. What has to happen? Now for each is not, for each element which is there in this array, this is going to call this function, and while calling it is also going to pass element, index and array. Now just check him simply element. Now you are going to get that element 2, 5, 6, 78, 70. Now this is the purpose of for each. It is looping. Now, but in this in this for each logic, now you can put whatever additional logic you want. It could be adding two numbers, I mean adding all the elements in the array. It could be multiplying all the elements in the array. It's up to you. Let's say I would like to get, you know, uh, product of all the elements in the array. All these elements. What do I do? I can write a very short syntax. Okay. Sum into element. Sum is equal to sum into element. So I'll initialize sum as 1. Not sum, sorry, product. I have written, okay, let sum is equal to, okay, let's say write sum only. Sum is equal to 0, sum plus element. What happens? So this logic or this function is called for every element. And in each time, I'm also going to get element. Now what is the logic I've written? I'm just saying, okay, to the existing sum, you add this element. That's all. At the end, if I just access sum, then sum will have this total value of all the elements. So this is what is my sum, logic. And this is the logic I'm saying. You do whatever you want. So what is for each telling? I am going to give you that value. That's all.
Okay.
Now, similar way, what does filter will say? I am also going to, go through each and every element. For each element, I am also going to call this callback function and give you the element. Now, what you are supposed to do? It says when I am giving you this, make sure this function returns some value. That value is either true or false. Let's say I simply return true for all the elements. See what is the output? Full array. Let's say I return false. Where within the filter I'm saying false. What is the array I'm going to get? Empty array. Why? Because I'm returning false, I'm returning true. If it's true, then every element will be there in the output array. And this is a completely new array. Huh? This is different, this is different. If I return false within the filter, then none of the elements will be there in the output. It's completely an empty array. Do you understand this basic thing? How these predicate functions are working?
Yes.
Now it's up to you what logic you want according to this. Let's say I want only odd numbers. What I want? I want only odd numbers. Then how do I check? If element mod 2 is equal to 0, then this condition will be true only for those elements which are even numbers. Correct? I just want in my output odd numbers. So I just negate it, and then, so you know true, it will only come for 7 and 5. That's why you are seeing in the output 5 and 7. This is my custom logic. But at the core, how the filter works, if you return true, you will see all the whatever that element. If you return false, all the elements will be out. Meaning all the elements, I mean none of the elements. But now I am returning a custom condition where instead of telling all the elements filtering, I only want certain element which pass this condition. Now it's up to you for your logic, your program, what is that condition you want to write.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So it's up to you. You go alone, you take something, you take full luggage in the bus, it's up to you. But bus is going. Okay. Same way. Filter, find also same. Find almost ditto as filter. But I told you, yeah, the difference here is it will stop as soon as this condition becomes true. I'll show you how it stops as soon as the condition reach. Okay. Console.log and say element. I'm just logging that element, not doing anything else. And I'll do return true, just like how you understood. I'm just returning true. See what happens now. Can you guess what happens now?
Will print all RS.
No, no, it will not print all arrays. I told you print, the find will stop as soon as it finds a true. So for the first element itself, you are returning true, which means it will only print 2 and stop. That's it. You want to see? And see the return value?
Yes.
Return value in for whichever loop, whether the first loop or second loop, for which element you're returning true, that element is what is coming in the return value. Now let's say do the other worst case where I am returning always false. See, now it is going to check each and every element. 2 it has checked, 5 it has checked, 6 it has checked, 78 also, 0 also, 7 also. At the end, since you're returning false, the return value is undefined. None of the element match. Now the another case. Yes, what if I am looking for a element, yeah, instead of writing false, I look for element which is equal to 6. Then what happens now?
True.
True, not for the first case, correct? So it is going to process 2, it is going to process 5, it is also going to process 6, and at this case 6 equals to 6. This means it will return true, which means the find will stop at that point. It is not going to process the 7807, and it is also going to return me 6 because 6 is the element which is processing. Got the output now? 6. Okay. Let me tell you, I told you find index. Earlier I just told you orally find index, how does it work? Now tell me what is the return value I'm going to get? I only change find to find index.
Two.
Yeah, exactly.
Index
So the
value of 6 will be
2. So the return value is 2 actually. And that return value, see, you need not have to just leave it like this. We will generally store it. Okay, let result is equal to so and so. We put it in a variable. We have to collect it, na? Then only I'm going to get it, correct? So this is how we collect it, and then we can just check what is there in the result. So result will be 2. This is the index of that 6. Similarly, last index, yeah, uh, find last also works. They're just opposite of find and find index. Okay, I think now I'm hoping it is more clear now with this example.
Yes.
And yesterday I gave these examples. Maybe I think you guys or some of you didn't follow it that fast. Okay, shall we move on? Map and reduce.
Sir,
Yeah,
sir, you have given EL as find ಒಳಗಡೆ EL ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಅದು ಕೀವರ್ಡ್ ಏನು ಸರ್
good question.
ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್
Huh?
EL ಅಂತ
Good question. Okay, why I'm saying good question is, see that is just the name of the parameter. See, this is a function, correct? Yeah. Now let me tell you. Okay, you leave this. I'm writing a function. I'm saying test, and I'm writing EL. Tell me what is this EL?
Parameter.
Parameter. If at all I'm calling test with some value, let's say 2, 3 or 23 or 233, that element will be, this argument is going to get passed to this value, or it is I'm receiving with this name.
ಓಕೆ
That's
ಸರ್
all, na?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್
Same way, if I am passing index also, then I'll be getting that index. That's where I have to then now if I have to receive index, I have to change my function definition. I have to say receive index, comma index. If that is the index, I know that it is passing index, then I should receive it like the index. Or I can put whatever name I want, okay? Because they are all positional parameters. I can even put I also. Why do we say positional parameter? They're not going to change. So it is like they're passed to the exact in the same order in which I am passing. Correct? They're assigned to this parameter in the order in which I have passed.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್
Any other function you want to know?
ದಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಸರ್
Okay, so hope with this understanding, let's move on to what is called map method. What is a map method? And one important thing to remember is each and every function's purpose is already in their name. Already in their name it is there. You don't have to, you know, do some magic to remember all these things. The name itself is already giving you half of the meaning, what it does. Filter, filters. Find, finds. For that you have to remember this, is it? So you have to remember mostly the syntax. For each is yes, each element it is doing like a for loop.